advertisement, it goes out for bid.
So let me change.
I'm just putting that out
So
there.
let me change my motion.
Okay.
If it comes back over $30,000, my recommendation is we send it out for rebid.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that motion. Thank you. Any discussion?
I
Yes,
think
Nick?
we can save a lot of time. It's gonna have to go out for rebid, because what you're talking about is virtually a total redesign of the park. And the original design, and we're talking like, when it started almost 10 years ago now, was like $160,000, so you're wasting your breath with that.
Steve, it's called CAD work. It's not that expensive.
However, it's not just a drawing, you have to do the complete set of plans to
Yeah.
resubmit, and that's more than just CAD
It's
work.
not-
That's
it's
a
building
lot of
plans.
hours.
And I get it.
It's electrical plans
I get
and
it.
plumbing plans,
I get it.
building plans.
I do it daily. I do it every day, Steve. I'm very familiar with it.
Well,
So it's just a motion. If y'all don't want to vote on it, I mean, if y'all don't want to accept it, then it's your, yes, ma'am.
the motion is on the floor, it's been seconded. We vote yes or no. If the board wants to take the motion, they can. If they don't want to consider it, they don't have to.
Correct, that is
We
correct.
always have to keep that in the back of our mind.
Yes, ma'am.
However, I did want to say that I support Captain Green's comment about let's not prolong this. I think your motion
We'll solve
solved that issue.
it. Exactly.
So with that regard, I will support your motion.
All right, so, any more discussion? Doc?
We all started around this, and I think this centered around the fact that we were talking about, we wanted to see this park be more than a through, we don't want to drive through that park or walk through that park. We want to have it to be a destination. It in itself has viable benefit to, what it brings. We have no greenscapes, no shade areas other than building, and we have no trees except this particular parcel. And I think that was what I thought Jim Green was leading to, and I didn't want to get into design. That's the reason why I don't like, I feel I'm a better engineer, and from my engineering training from a lot of people that I know, that to get out there and get into these design processes. But the point I'm making here is let the engineers do that work, because that's what we pay them to do, and then we can pick or choose to accept, request adjustment or whatever. But I do think that the idea that we want a destination to rather than through is an important component to what that park brings.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Then I guess I would like part of your motion or another motion to include that when the redesign happens, if it happens, based on the city council's motion, that we get to see it again.
Oh, we will.
I would like
Yeah, we would.
I'd like to get to see it again. Okay.
We would definitely do that.
And I was talking about the observation platform. Would you want me to talk about that in just a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Miss anything else, ma'am?
Yeah, something just dawned on me. When we talked about the motion of putting the park amenities in there, we've now made it a park, not a pedestrian walkthrough. That may change the criteria for parking. Just a question mark. I don't know. And so I think that that also will have to be taken into consideration, but I think the board can do that when they take or give whatever they're going to give.
Okay. I agree with that. Yeah, they can do that. Yep. Okay, so we got a motion, we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any no's?
Any noes?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion on this part?
Are you frowning at me?
No, I wasn't, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like everybody wants to go home, so.
No, I want to make this right the first time, because we're not.
feel like that? I mean, some of us have been up since 4 a.m.
Well, I'm with you on that one. So
I'm thinking back.
Go ahead.
Yep.
when I was looking at the elements to all of this, and kind of studying the restrictions and the covenants and all of this, I don't know if any of you know that our boat has been at the Melvin docks since 1995. And it occurred to me then that I was really interested in the issue of because my boat got moved back in 2013, and we had been paying the city. So I looked through these documents, and I found some things that really kind of surprised me about that issue. So I would really like, and I can either go into it with you guys here or not, but I would really like to ask the Harbor Advisory Board to look into that whole dock issue with the riparian rights, or the riparian rights, and the submerged land lease. Because, again, I was personally involved in being moved out of it at one time, and I was told one thing, and then I was told something else, and it didn't make any sense to me. And I'd kind of like to know where my money went, because in here, it says that it's supposed to go into a fund that will be used on the park. And when I do the numbers, if that lease amendment had been written to our advantage, meaning the city's advantage, we'd have about $850,000 in the bank right now. If it had followed the original agreement. So I would like to make a motion that we ask the Harbor CRA board to just look into that lease agreement on the riparian rights and the submerged land lease. Because it's just on riparian rights, it's not on submerged land lease. I can't find the word in there anywhere. And I'm confused, so.
Okay, we got a motion? I'll second it for discussion.
I'm trying to, and I understand what you're getting at, Ms. Best. I'm trying to figure out where that falls in our purview.
Well, I don't know if it does or not. That's why I would like to ask the Harbor CRA to look at it. It started with the observation platform and the fact that we were gonna have a kayak launch. Well, where's the kayak launch gonna go? So I read the lease agreement, and it's very specific what it says in the lease agreement, but it doesn't say the same thing in the restrictive covenants and in the management plan. So because there's some confusion there, I would just like to ask the board to look into that matter. And again, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that could have been used for the development of this park. And I mean, I've got my own thoughts on it, but I would really, I'm not, like you said, that's not necessarily our purview, but because it is part of the park. The platform is part of the park. The fireboat is supposedly in one of our slips. We have transient parking there. We own 68 feet of that property, and that is our submerged land lease. And nobody, according to the DEP, the state of Florida, can get that. We cannot give that to any, we can lease it to somebody, but we have to apply for it for ourselves. So we have control of it. That's my understanding.
Has that permit been applied for?
Which permit?
The DEP, submerged land lease, has it been applied for yet?
For what?
The submerged land lease.
For the 5 slips we have down there on our
It's already covered by a DEP permit this week.
No, but isn't it coming up for renewal?
It's coming up for renewal on September 14th, is my understanding.
It's not on our radar, we're not controlling it.
Who controls?
Well, that's why I brought it up, you
That's why
guys,
she's bringing
because
this up.
why drop the ball right now when we're so close to getting this finished?
The riparian rights, were conveyed before, for the most part, were conveyed before the city owned it.
Well, actually, they were conveyed in a 99-year lease that was for the construction of a marina. They weren't conveyed for what we're doing, actually. They weren't conveyed for, for transient slips and fireboats and that kind of thing. That's not in the original agreement. So again, I'd just like to send it on to the board and ask them to look into it.
Okay, Steve, the permit for the DEP, has it been applied for? It's my understanding.
There's not an application, the city's not processing any application with the DEP at this time. Don't know what you're talking about.
Well, regardless of whether they are or not, you all can vote against it. I would just like to ask the board to look into it. Again, it's because of my history with my boat in that slip since 1995. We rented from G. Melvin, for the Ecstasy and the Fantasy were there, then we had the Aquanaut there, and we were there until 2012. I've got my leases to prove that we were there, and that we paid our lease, and then we were asked to move, and we were told we could not pay a not-for-profit company, and that's not what this says. This management plan says that the city of Destin can lease all the legal slips that belong to them, and they can put that in a fund and use it for the building of the park. And at the day the park opens, you cannot lease those slips any longer. They become transient slips, which again doesn't require parking, so.
Go ahead, Jim.
I was gonna say, maybe we can make this next month's agenda item.
Sure. I
Less
mean,
than 30 days.
I can't just send it on to the board, we don't have to talk about it again?
So, well, yeah, gives us a little bit more time to invest what you're saying here. I'll have to
You
admit,
wanna
I'm a little
digest it?
taxed at this point after.
Well, it's in all the records I requested. I mean, it was a surprise to me, it was a shock to me.
I read everything that you did. That doesn't mean I retained it or
Yeah.
pinpointed at this point, but I read everything you requested. So why don't we just put that as an agenda item?
We can do that. I'll just say one more thing. As a public citizen in the city of Destin, I was really shocked at what I read. As a member of this board, and I've been a member of this board since 2010, I was outraged. Absolutely outraged. And I'll just leave it at that.
I'll read it tonight.
Okay, I hope everybody does.
Is it good?
Um,
Any other discussion?
Can I ask, so your motion, you are actually asking the CRA board,
The board.
the CRA
I'd like
board,
to send the issue
not
of-
the harbor CRA board, not you guys.
You
No,
want-
not us. We're a committee.
Okay, because you said the harbor CRA, and that's what you are.
You meant to see it.
Yeah, that's.
You're the CRA. That's why he asked about it being under the
No, I meant the
purview.
board.
The CRA.
The CRA board.
The CRA, yes. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with
That makes more sense.
Yeah, she said.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
So I'm good with that. So you want to send it to the CRA?
Yes, because they direct staff, not you guys. You guys just recommend to
No,
the
right,
CRA.
And that's why I said.
And that's why
recommend to-
right, and that's why I needed to clarify that, because you said harbor CRA board.
CRA.
I meant CRA.
That's fine, that's fine. No, that's fine, that's just
Okay.
why I'm asking.
So we have a motion. Kim, you got it, correct?
I have it,
Got a second? All in favor? Okay. Jim, anything else from you, sir?
I'm good for member comments.
Okay, we're getting ready to move to, Steve, any comments from you on this? Okay, hold on, because okay, project update, Steve. Nothing. Okay, so we're gonna go to committee members. Ms. Janney, comments?
Well, yeah,
Go ahead.
and I can't find my May 9th meetings because we said we weren't gonna approve them. But Steve, back on the page, in our May 9th meeting, we asked you to do something with the page 19 and 20 of the comprehensive plan and bring it back to us for clarification. I was just wondering if you had done that.
page 19 and 20 of the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, remember we were going through it
The
page by
CRA
page by
plan.
page?
The CRA plan, not the city's comprehensive plan.
You know, I just can't get any of my terms right.
Well, comprehensive plan is a totally different.
Okay, the comprehensive plan.
Community redevelopment.